Hi, hello, and welcome to this live. Thank you for putting in your questions. I really appreciate that. So keep those coming, and we'll get into a nice rhythm with this Q&A live situation. It's kind of fun for me to engage with you all. So today, what do I do when my children are fighting each other? And not just bickering, like full on screaming, hitting, disturbing the neighbours level stuff. Yeah, so that's the question today. And if you're watching on replay, do the hashtag replay thing and put your comments in, and I will get back to them and answer them. So when your children are fighting at that level with each other, you are not just dealing with them. You are first dealing with how it makes you feel that they are tearing chunks out of each other, and how it makes you feel that the whole world and his wife can hear your children behaving like that, so violently towards each other. So, what does that do to your nervous system? Is that a knot in your stomach? Is it pounding in your chest? Be curious. Turn it inwards. That's the number one thing. How does it make you feel that they are doing? Is it fear that something in your family is broken? Is it guilt that it's because of something you did or didn't do, and that's why they're fighting? What does it do to you? Step number one. Because otherwise you will react, probably with shouting louder than them. If my own experience is anything to go by, I used to sing the EastEnders theme tune really loudly to just block out their shouting. So be curious about that, because you do not want to add more chaos to their chaos, and you cannot shout your way to peace. And of course, you absolutely were not there when it started. We never are we? We never know how it started, and you will never ever get the truth of how it started, because there are as many truths about how it started as there are participants in the fight. And this is when emotional leadership just is absolutely essential. If you get riled up and angry, step number one is always kind of take time apart for everyone. And you're the adult, so your job is to just take quick time apart, calm yourself down, and then go back in. And that starts obviously with you. When a fight erupts between them, your job in that moment is to regulate yourself, not because you're the problem, but because without access to your thinking, calm brain, grounded, calm, you're not able to lead. And this essentially is a leadership problem. You will go into panic mode when your brain flips its lid, and you will say things that you regret or behave in ways that you regret. Because leadership really is about strategy, not reactivity. And if you can't stay calm in the middle of that riot, take time apart, learn how to deal with that. Obviously I can help with that, but what you need to do is talk to the other parent, if there is one living in the same house, or if you have one that you can talk to. If you are two people doing the parenting, you need to get the other person and yourself on the same page. And if you're a single parent, well, then you just talk to yourself. But what you have to do with the other parent is agree a really good time where in the rhythm of your normal family life there is calm, peace, and it's associated with good times. So like whatever your equivalent to pizza and film night is, because you have to get really strategic if you have this constant sibling arguments that and this regular fighting that happens at home. And so, yeah, so you need to agree, first of all, a time where you're going to bring this up with your little tribe of hooligans. And then you are going to dive, well, before you do, with your partner or yourself, get into the 5 P's of empowered parenting. So I'm going to talk through those really quickly now. So the first one is purpose. So tell your teenagers, your children, why there's going to be change. Explain why you need to talk to them about something really serious and why you're going to work it out together as a family. So talk about how the neighbours have complained or whatever it is. So describe the why to them and answer their why questions, for, from their perspective. Why should they be interested? Why do they care that the neighbours are upset? Why is it important for them to know? Is there going to be a reward for not fighting? Why will it change things for them? How will it, why will it benefit? What's in it for them? And so the second P is picture. Get them on board with this change by painting the bigger picture, by answering their what. What are the details? What do they need to understand in order to make the change in their behavior? Do they need to come and find you when he always does that, just as, I'm about to do that? What will it look like? Paint that picture of what it will look like when you have a family with a changed dynamic about arguing and not escalating into fighting. What's the good stuff for them? How will it benefit them? And then third P is plan, and that's the how. How are we going to do this? How are things going to change? How will they be affected? Get them involved in this plan, because I can guarantee you they can see things in this fighting dynamic that you just haven't got a clue about. So when you involve them in making a plan for how to deal with it, they're going to give you bits of information that you couldn't know, that there would be no other way of you knowing. And then the fourth part is who. The fourth P is part. Who is involved? So who can help with this? I would suggest the parents, maybe an older brother, maybe a neighbour. It depends on what they're fighting about. Obviously, I don't know that. But also, who has influence? Who has impact? And who doesn't have impact or influence? Who might be resistant to playing a part in this change in the family? Say they're fighting about moving house or something, and the youngest child does not want to move house because they would have to move school or whatever. How can you get them involved? How can you make up a benefit to them? Will they be allowed to choose their bedroom or how it's decorated or their new bed? Get them all involved in this, even if you know that there's no direct involvement for one particular child. And the fifth one of the 5 P's of empowered parenting is powerful questions. So really encourage and allow them to ask all their what if and catastrophizing questions. What if you're not here when XYZ kicks off? What if I can't explain how I'm feeling? And they might sound like really silly questions, but actually it's important to listen and answer, or say that you're going to think about that, or you're going to talk to mum or dad, about it, and you'll come back to them with an answer. And also just own your own missteps. Last week when you absolutely kicked off because they were fighting, be honest, be real, ask for their input, invite them to help solve the problem. And also part of this needs to be just hinting at fair consequences and offering meaningful rewards. Like, shift the culture and do not fear anger. Anger is necessary, it's powerful, it happens when things that are unfair happens to us, and you don't want to take that anger out of them, but you want to teach them how to channel it appropriately as a protection for them, as a necessary not putting up with being treated unfairly. Especially this applies to girls who are traditionally, culturally told that they're emotional, when actually things are unfair, they're angry, and that's, you know, just how the patriarchy shuts down girls, and they have their anger dismissed. So remember, your job is not to crush this outpouring of anger that they are taking out on each other. It's to teach them how to channel it without causing harm. So that was answering this week's questions. Thanks so much to Alison for you described that situation so beautifully, Alison, with the plant pots being lobbed across the garden. So I hope that helps, and I'll see you in 2 weeks' time, and keep the questions coming. Lots of love. Bye.